This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman and Riley Smith. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Well, good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Wednesday, August 10th, 2022, one day until the Iowa State Fair. We're so glad you can join us today. In this episode of Ag Matters PM, Mark Magnuson has a report from the trip that he and Dustin took to the BASF Field Day the other day. We also have a look at the ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Well, we're at the end of another day in the trading marketplace, and for a bit of analysis on what happened in the ag sector, we go to Jim McCormick of agmarket.net. Jim, what did we see as far as those grain prices are concerned?
Oh, I can say what we saw was a lot of volatility today. The grain market was quite strong overnight. We saw that really lead into the midday session. A couple things are driving it. Concern about dryness issues in the Midwest. A weaker dollar also was kind of helping to propel the market up. And then we also had some export sales in the beans. So all that was propelling it. And then I tell you what, Riley, the midday model, the GFS run came in, and it is bringing in some rain, some critical rain in for portions of the Western Corn Belt early part of next week. And then it continues to paint most of the Midwest getting at least a shot of rain over the full 2-week outlook. When that model came out, we saw just a massive reversal. The bean market ending up on the day 3 cents lower roughly on the November beans, almost 25 cents off the high. The September beans, which have been being squeezed due to the fact that producers just are not really wanting to release the beans they have left over on concern that they're not going to get these all crucial August rains. That market ended up selling off, ended up down roughly 10 cents on the day and over 50 cents off the high, as it seemed like this rain in the forecast was enough to at least bring some beans to market.
All right, and of course, the other thing that we're looking at in the ag marketplace is that WASDE report on Friday. What's a little bit that we can expect to see come out then?
Right now, the other thing we're looking at into the WASDE report is the trade is looking for the crop to get a little bit smaller on the national yield. Roughly, the trade guess is looking for about a half a bushel drop in the beans and roughly about a bushel drop in the corn. Another thing we want to caution a lot of producers out there is we saw kind of the same situation a year ago. They dropped the bean crop by about 0.8 of a bushel. They've dropped the corn crop about 4 or 5 bushels. The big thing is what you got to look at what we're looking at. The ending stocks a year ago were at 155 for new crop. The average guess for this year, I believe, is right around 225. But when we got that, so somewhat would argue a bullish report last year, the markets in the beans ended up topping within a few days after that report came out and sold off over $2 from roughly the $14 level to the $12 level. So the bullish report, essentially reversing, kind of a buy the rumor, sell effect on the beans. And the exact same situation happened in the corn rally. They did drop the corn carry out by about 200 million, but still roughly 200 million higher than what the average trade guess is for this week's estimate for new crop. And the corn market essentially broke from $6 on the August WASDE report, bottoming on the September WASDE report about $1 lower. So we do think there is some realized potential risk out there of kind of a buy the rumor, sell the fact reaction to the grain market, especially if we come in next week and we're seeing rain in some of the drier portions of the country.
All right, and what are we seeing on the other side of the ag marketplace in the livestock complex?
Overall, the livestock market continues to march higher. The hogs continue to make new highs. What's interesting is Iowa, the average weight for the Iowa Southern Minnesota hogs came in at 275.6 pounds yesterday. That is actually the lowest weight since 2017. So with these lower weights, you're seeing demand come in, supplies tighten, and that's driving the market up. Same thing on the livestock market. We're looking for, on the beef side of the equation. Look for the supplies to continue to tighten. The jobs number last week was very, very strong. The CPI reading today was a little bit more positive, at least in the trade's viewpoint. So the stock market's rallying. So that also brought some demand into the marketplace, we believe.
Right, and something we don't talk about as often on here is a little bit of strategy or just some advice for producers are, they're watching the situation, and it's obviously a stressful time with how volatile the market is. So, what's a little bit of advice you have for producers who are watching the marketplace and wanting to get some profits from it?
Right now, I think, for the producers, if you look at kind of like I was mentioning, like last year, we had a nice little move up into the report, then we failed at it. If the producers are in areas of the country that are getting rainfall a little bit more comfortable selling the grain, I would say if you did get a push up into the market on Friday, don't be afraid to lay off some risk. Maybe consider putting some floors in, put some puts under this market, because, the reality is it's usually very hard to get a counter seasonal rally. And we would look for some weakness into the marketplace later on in the fall, unless the yields just aren't there. So, now's a great time to rebalance your, look at your balance sheet rally, I guess is what I should say. We get a little bit better handle maybe what your yields are and see, where you're at, and don't be afraid to make up some catch-up sales. In the long run, if we do get a really good break, you can always come back on and re-own the crop with options down the line. Same thing for the hogs and the cattle. We would encourage producers to go ahead and continue to buy puts. I mean, right now the market does look very good, but we'll see what the economy does. The reality is the CPI reading today was not as red hot as people feared, but the fact of the matter is inflation is still a very, very real problem we're facing in the United States right now. That will force the Fed to continue to raise interest rates. And if they get too aggressive too quick, you could see that everything reverse back out. So you want to make sure you can lock in profits and equity when you have the opportunity to.
All right, Jim, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners and our watchers who would like to learn more and get in touch with the folks at agmarket.net, how can they do that?
You can reach me directly at 815-665-0461 or reach any of the Ag Market team members at 844-424-6758.
All right, Jim, well, it was great talking with you today, and we look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thank you for having me on, and have a good week of trading, and good luck with trading and report on Friday, folks.
That again was Jim McCormick of agmarket.net. We're going to go ahead and take a look at how those numbers close. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. September corn is up 5 3/4 at 6.21 1/4. December corn up 4 1/2 at 6.18 1/2. August soybeans down 4 1/2 at 16.88 3/4. November soybeans down 1 even at 14.27 3/4. Soybean meal up 50 at 449.60. Soy oil up 162 at 67.38. Chicago wheat up 18 1/4 at 7.99 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat up 13 1/2 at 9.06 1/4. Kansas City hard red wheat up 21 even at 8.72 3/4. September oats down 11 3/4 at 4.28 1/4. On the Merc, August live cattle up 122 at 139.20. August feeders up 187 at 180.67. August lean hogs up a nickel at 122.25. Pork cutout up 97 at 111 even, and Class 3 milk down 6 cents at 20.03. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, Mark Magnuson has a report from the trip that he and Dustin took to the BASF Field Day the other day. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Yesterday, Dustin and Mark took a trip to Story City for the BASF Field Day, where they talked about various crop issues, from fungicides to fungal diseases and more specifically tar spot. Mark Magnuson has a report on tar spot, and here's what he has to say.
Eastern Iowa has been receiving the most moisture of any region in Iowa this growing season, and that has led to the fungal disease of tar spot in some cornfields in that portion of the state. At Tuesday's BASF Field Day, we heard from Technical Services Representative Kurt Maertens.
Tar spot is a fungal disease. It's a newer disease here in the United States. It's been around in South America and Mexico for the last 100 years, but starting 2015, that was the first year that we saw it here in the Midwest. It continues to grow across the Corn Belt especially. Been more of a problem in northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, northern Indiana, Michigan, but we are seeing it move farther west, and we're seeing it really show up predominantly in eastern Iowa, but of course we've been getting rain in eastern Iowa this year.
So that is the primary factor for why we're seeing most of it in eastern Iowa, is just that moisture?
We've got to have the moisture. We have the right temperature. We have to have a susceptible host, which all of our corn is susceptible to tar spot. And then we've got to have the inoculant, which we've been building up in Iowa over the last couple of years. But really to get it going, yeah, we've got to have that leaf wetness. Extended periods of leaf wetness of over 7 hours, plus 60 to 70 degree temperatures is the right recipe to get that disease going. right now that it's August, end of July, folks are saying, hey, Kurt, it's hot out. Shouldn't this disease be slowing down? I say yes, but we got to think about our nighttime temperatures, which are dipping down into that 60 to low 70 degree range. And if we've got the leaf wetness either from rain or from heavy dews, there we go. There's our recipe to get this disease cooking. So it's happening at night on us.
And is tar spot an issue, a disease that crops up that you don't even notice? It's something that can be kind of under the surface and you have to try to get ahead of, but maybe you don't even realize you have it?
The best time to spray for tar spot is before we even see it, because it has a long latent period. Documentation shows that it's at least 2 weeks, but I think this year we're seeing it with 3 weeks latent period. And so we think about 3 weeks ago, tar spot wasn't even in our minds. And then all of a sudden we're seeing lesions, and then we're reacting to it. And that's the wrong thing to be doing, because we want to be in front of the infection. Because if we're seeing the lesions show up now, the damage is already done. Plus, those lesions are releasing spores, which is continuing the next cycle of infection, which we're not even seeing yet. So when we start seeing lesions, there's a lot more infection that's already taking place, and we're not going to see those lesions show up for another couple weeks. By then, it's really going to be too late.
Kurt, do you have to apply something specifically for tar spot, a product, or is it something that's already in your line that you don't have to worry about adding something new to?
So we recommend Veltima fungicide. It's been proven to be one of the best fungicides in the marketplace for tar spot. And again, we just want to get folks to make it a planned application, because tar spot is a disease we're going to have to deal with every year at the moment. And so we're better off, like I said, mentioned earlier, to be in front of that infection. So make it a planned application, and that typically is in the VT to R2 window. Although to get more acres treated in a more timely fashion, I am recommending going to what we call the first tassel timing. So when we start seeing tassels start to poke above the top of the canopy, that usually occurs about a week before tassel. So that gives us another week to get more acres treated in a timely fashion and be in front of that infection.
So tar spot has been affecting eastern Iowa because of that moisture. What are we seeing for problems for farmers in central and western Iowa, especially western Iowa, where it's much more dry right now?
Obviously, we're not getting the rain over in those parts of the state, so we've got more environmental stresses, right? Drought stress, heat stress, and that's obviously affecting yield. We can help alleviate some of that with a BASF plant health application, because the properties that we have in our fungicides help the plant open up its stomates, helps the plant breathe, reduces ethylene, which is the ripening hormone in plant, which is going to cause the plant to mature faster, and that's the last thing we want while we're in grain fill. So we can help provide the plant some relief from that stress by using a BASF fungicide. It's not going to save us from an all-out drought, but it's going to help that plant bridge that time frame from good through bad and back to good, help us save some bushels there.
And have those been the main problems that you've seen as far as what farmers have been dealing with this year when you've, I guess, kind of split the state down the middle, side to side?
Yeah, definitely. More disease pressure on the eastern side of the state, more drought and heat stress on the western side of the state. Again, we can mitigate those stresses with the BASF plant health fungicide application. Just depends on the stress. It's all about managing that stress. The level of management really helps add or subtract those bushels. In this case, it's about adding those bushels.
And for more information for people that want to decide what they need to apply to their crops and more information on these different issues, where should they go?
Make sure to check out BASF online at agriculture.basf.us. Be able to see information on all of our products along with the labels for those products. It's a great website to go to.
He's Kurt Maertens here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Kurt, thank you so much for the time and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
That was Kurt Maertens, BASF Technical Services Representative, speaking at the BASF Field Day near Story City on Tuesday. For the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, I'm Mark Magnuson.
Thanks, Mark. As for right now, let's go ahead and take a look at that ag weather outlook. Today has been another beautiful day for the weather. It's almost unbelievable at this point, and they keep lowering the highs for the state fair. And as we get into those weeks, of course, a little warmer into the weekend, but tomorrow and Friday looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the National Weather Service has in store for the next 24 hours. As you can see from the National Weather Service, things are looking pretty good for the state fair. Today we have sunny skies and a slight breeze across the state, highs ranging from the low 80s to about 90. Tonight we'll have mostly clear skies and pleasant conditions, lows ranging from the low to mid 60s. And tomorrow, the first day of the Iowa State Fair, looking to be mostly clear and sunny with a slight chance for evening storms, those highs ranging from the low 80s to low 90s. And taking a look at the affiliate weather map, as you can see for tomorrow, Cherokee will be sunny with a slight chance for storms in 88, Shenandoah sunny in 86, Des Moines Slight chance for showers and mostly sunny conditions with a high of 93. Albia, much of the same. A little bit of showers, sunny conditions, and 90. Waterloo, mostly sunny with a little bit of showers and 82. And Clinton is also going to see that chance for evening thunderstorms and mostly cloudy conditions with a high of 81. For more detailed forecasts in your part of the state, make sure to check in with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook, and that also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can find all of our videos as well as previous episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free Twice Daily Market podcast on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Avery Haskell, Dustin Huffman, and Mark Magnuson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.